SVGcoop.com, and I'm here to show you how to create an image in Adobe Illustrator that you can use to cut with your cutting machines. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file, and I want it to be 12 by 12, and I also am going to make sure that it is 300 dots per inch or PPI. So I'm going to hit create. Then what I want to do is I'm going to place the image that I would like to draw. So I'm going to go to File, Place. I'm going to grab the image that I want, and I'm going to stretch it out as big as I can just to make it easier to draw. Then I'm going to go over to the right side here where it has layers and click the little menu here and click Template. And down at the bottom I'm going to add another layer. That's the one we're going to draw on. So then I'm going to click on my brush tool over here, and I'm going to do the paintbrush tool. And up top where it says the brush definition, I'm going to double click on the 5 point, and I'm just going to change that to a 3 because the 5 is a little bit too thick. And then down at the bottom here with the color selection, you can click on the white and black, and I'm just going to reverse those so the fill is black and the stroke is white, and then click on the stroke and hit no stroke. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to Command plus and zoom in, and holding the space bar down and my mouse I can move the image around so that I can see it. And I'm just going to start drawing some of the lines here. I'm using a Wacom board to do this. If you try to do it with a mouse, it can be rather challenging. But with the Wacom board, it's very easy. Or you could use another kind of drawing device. If you have a laptop that has a pen or whatever, that would work too. Okay, now some of these parts I think would be easier if we use some of the shape tools. So I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm just going to draw a straight line here, and I have to adjust the settings here. So I'm going to go to my properties, change the stroke to 3 points, and also round it. Then I'm going to click my black arrow tool, click in the white space, and then what I want to actually get to is let's see, where is it? This tool. It looks like an arrow, and it's the anchor point tool. I'm just going to click on that, and I just want to move this to where I want it to be so that it lines up. And I'm going to do that again right below here. Line those up. And then I can connect my 2 lines here. And you'll notice it'll say anchor when I'm doing that. That will help it to click where it needs to click onto. And I'm just going to go back to drawing this part here. Then with the eyes, I'm going to grab a circle tool. And if you hold down the shift key, it will keep it straight. And if you hold the space bar at the same time, you can move it around to where you want it. I'm just going to try to size that where I want it. And I'm going to change the stroke to 3. Then with my black arrow tool, I'm going to hold my option key. See how it turns into 2 arrows? I'm just going to duplicate that and bring that over here. And then I'm going to make another circle, holding down my shift key so that it's a perfect circle, using my space bar to move it. And then I'm going to hit the black arrow key and my option key to make a duplicate again and put it there. And we're going to do one more for the little circle inside. Option key. And since it's so small, I'm going to actually zoom in with the Command plus or Control plus if you're on a PC. Hold the Option key. Put that there. Okay, now we don't want these lines in here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to go to where my eraser is, but I'm going to grab the scissor tool. I'm just going to click on the places where it meets up with the other line and then delete that. I'm going to do the same with this one, so I'm going to click on it with the black arrow tool, grab the scissors, just find where it meets that line. It has to be right. Hold on, let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, now see how the red has selected this part? We don't want to delete that part. I want to delete this part. So you have to make sure you select that and then hit delete. I'm just going to grab my white arrow tool, and once I click on this, I'm just going to move this over a little bit so it's not popping out over the other line. Alright, let's zoom back out. And we want to, I'm going to grab my line tool again, and I'm just going to click from here to that anchor point and here like this, and then I'm going to grab the adjustment tool here and just going to give this a little bit of a curve. And don't worry if your image is not, like, see how I don't have it perfectly here? Like, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Okay, so now we're gonna draw the can at the bottom here. So I'm just gonna, if you hold the shift key while you're drawing a line, it will keep it straight. And I'm just gonna draw this one. I'm gonna do the same with the bottom here. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. You could also draw a rectangle and adjust it. I'm not going to do that this time. We can do that on another video. I'm going to use the adjustment and make that rounded like that. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to get the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to sort of outline this here. And then you'll see these little dots here. Those are adjustments where if you pull on them, it will round the corner. So what I want to do is I want to use my black arrow tool, select it all, grab the white arrow tool, and I'm going to pull those all in. That way it will do it all at the same time, and then they're all the same. Okay, I'm going to click on one of those. Let's see, we just want the regulators. Okay, we're going to click on it, hold the Alt key and the Shift key so it stays even. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I fill this in. There's also other ways to do this, but that's the way we're going to do it this time. Just going to put that over on the edge there. So it's not exactly lined up the way they want to, but for the ease of cutting, I want to do it that way. And then we need another line down here. I'm going to start here actually and go, I'm going to shift click here, and I'm going to bring this down. Just adjust this the way to be. Grab my white arrow tool. Sometimes these little levers get a little funny. Okay, line that up. Click on this point, and then I'll get my adjustment tool here, and I can just like the way that looks, so I'm just going to delete that. Click it and delete it, and I'm just going to go this way, I think, instead. So I'm just going to hold the shift key down, go all the way across, and then I'm going to grab my, I'm going to click off of it, grab my pen tool again, my paintbrush, sorry. I'm just going to connect that, and that's connected. Okay, so we basically, let me just do a little bit of this. Okay, so basically we have our shape down. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to the layers palette, which is this one here. It looks like a couple sheets of paper. I'm just going to turn off the eyeball. It looks like a monitor, but we're going to turn that off. So all we see is our black and white image. I'm going to grab my white tool, and what I want to do is really zoom in with the Command plus key. And I just want to check to see how this is a gap here? That would be a problem. So I just want to get all of these things so they're all connected. And I don't want things like this where this arrow is here, this angle is here, so I'm just going to click on that until it makes it a little bit smoother and connects nicely. And you want to check all of your points. See, this one needs to be just moved down a little bit. Okay, and this one here. What you want to do is if you click on the line and you try to move it, it's going to move the whole line. So what you want to do is actually click on the actual point and then move it, and it won't move the whole line, it will only move that point. And then you just want to make sure that it doesn't have an effect on something else down here that's not connected properly. So let's see. I'm just going to keep looking here, check all of our points. You especially want to check your outside pieces because if they're not connected, it's going to cause you a problem later. Okay, so see this part? I don't like this part. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this line and I'm going to, I think I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Just adjust this a little so we have a little bit more of a single piece here. Because that's going to be a little bit more difficult to cut if that's kind of like that. So I'm just going to move his hand up a little bit and just adjust this a little. And I'm going to zoom out, Command minus, and just see how that looks, because that's going to save you from cutting a tiny little piece there. So I'm going to go back in, get my white arrow tool, and I'm just going to put this right there so that lines up nicely. And this side too, let's fix this little point here. And let's see, so see how we have this tiny little spot here? We don't want that, so I'm just going to move that there so that covers that. But we also don't need the line to go through his fingers. So I'm going to click on that line with the black arrow tool. And I'm going to grab those scissors again, and I'm just going to click from here to here. And I want to get rid of that piece. So I'm just going to hit delete. So this way, when his fingers are going through there, you don't have those tiny little pieces. Okay, back to my space bar and my mouse, and I'm just gonna fix this one here and line that up. Okay, so those should be okay. Let's take a look at the bottom. And everything looks good. So I'm going to hit Command 0. That shows me the whole image. And you can see now this little space here will be a single piece. but I missed a line here. So I'm going to put this back on. I'm going to zoom back in. I'm just going to draw a straight line here, holding my shift key, getting that connected, and see how it's still like one stroke. So I'm just going to change that to 3 and make sure it's rounded, which it is. And let's go back and we'll turn off our layer again. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let me just zoom in here because I think that's just a little bit too far over. And it is. So I'm just gonna, with my white arrow, I'm just gonna click on this and move it over a little bit. Okay, Command 0, I can see the whole thing. He looks pretty good. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna save it. And I'm just gonna call this, one second, Oscar. And today's date is the 4th, so I'm going to do 050426, and I'm not going to put anything else on there right now. Just hit OK. Then what I want to do is going to do File, Export, Export As, and I want to save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to go down here and change this to JPEG, and it's important to do a JPEG, not a PNG. And oh, that's silly. I did not type Oscar at all. So I'm going to try that again. Okay, so I'm going to save the JPEG as Oscar and hit OK. Now I need to do a new one, so I'm going to do File, New, and it's going to be the same setting that I had before, 12 by 12 with 300, and up here I can do the name, so I'm just going to do, this one's going to be Oscar 050426. Now I'm going to put my initials on the end, so that way I know that it's one that I created. I'm going to hit Create. And I'm going to do File, Place. Going to find the Oscar that I created right here, the JPEG, and I'm going to hit Place. And I'm just going to single click and it will put it at the right size. Then I'm going to do Image Trace, hit OK. And it looks pretty good, so I'm just going to hit Expand. And then Object, Ungroup All. And then I'm going to go to View, excuse me, Show Transparency Grid, because that way when you get rid of the background, it'll be easier to tell. Then what I want to do is I'm going to go back to my first image. I'm going to turn the screen back on with the color, and I'm going to unlock it. And with my black arrow, I'm just going to click somewhere inside the color image, and I'm just going to click and drag it up to the tab for the other one, and then drag back down so I can see it. And with the black arrow tool, I'm just going to make this a bit smaller because I really just want to pick the colors from it. Okay, so with the black arrow tool, I'm going to click off, and then I'm going to click the background, hit delete. And then what I want to do is I'm going to start selecting the green parts that I want, and I'm going to shift click to get both of them. And then I'm going to hit the eye and just click on that, and then hit Command 8, and that will turn that piece into a single piece. So now if I click here, which initially was 2 pieces, now it's 1. Okay, then I'm going to shift, I'm going to click in the brown, hit the eye, click on the brown, Command 8, and then, sorry, this keeps moving. I'm going to get rid of this little piece in here because we need to see through the trash can. And I'm going to start selecting all of these light gray pieces, holding my shift key. Just going to keep selecting them, and this piece and this piece. And then I'm going to hit I. I'm going to grab that lighter brown, gray, sorry, Command 8. Hit the V key, and I'm going to grab these darker colors using the shift key. That. Okay, so now let's see, I'm going to get my V, and I'm going to shift click the white in the eyes. And then when I do whites, I always go to the fill And I like to select this white because it kind of gives it a little bit of color from the regular white. And when it's on your canvas, even in your Cricut or whatever, it works out a little bit better. So then this black, this is going to be a black. So I'm not going to worry about, let's see, what do we want to do here? Because we have these little circles for the white piece. So I'm thinking what we can do is, let's see, I think, well, I think what we're going to do is I'm not going to do these. I'm going to let them be totally black, and then people can just add their white part to it. Or maybe what we'll do is we'll just do this part white, and I'm going to shift select these two white pieces that we did before and make it this white, and hit Command 8. All right, and let's see how that works out. So now I'm ready to get rid of my color image. I'm just going to start to click and drag all of the color pieces off. And this is a good time to see if you made all of your colors. Hit Command 8 for all of them so that they see how this is now just this one. So I didn't hit Command 8. And that's probably because my son-in-law walked in while we were in the middle. So I'm just going to click all of those, shift click, hit Command 8, and turn those into a single piece. This makes it easier for when people are cutting. So it's all one piece. And then I'm going to grab the white and move that. Okay, then with the black arrow tool, I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go over to my properties panel here, and I'm going to combine it all. And if yours turns out white, it's because your it would probably look like this. So what you want to do is make your fill black and your stroke nothing. And then we're going to get the shape builder tool, which is this one right here. I'm just going to click and drag through the parts that I want my solid background to be on. And you see I didn't do this part here because I want that to be empty or blank. So I'm just going to highlight all of these like that. And now I have a solid piece with my black arrow. I'm going to hit that, Command 8. And now if you notice, this is actually going to be on the front. I don't want it on the front. So I'm going to hit Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Then I'm just going to start placing my pieces back on. I'm going to use my mouse, and then once I get them kind of where I want them, I'm just going to use my arrows on my keyboard to just nudge them into exactly where I want them to be. So, and usually when I do my drawings, there's the same border around all of the pieces. So it's kind of easy, like putting a puzzle together. I'm just going to nudge that down until I have the same border around the whole piece. And we'll put our eyes in here. And then these pieces. I'm going to nudge those down. Okay, once you have all of your pieces where you want them, get your black arrow tool, select them all, and hit Command G or Object Group. And now when we go to our Layers panel, you'll see that it's all one piece here and it's grouped. And then you have all of your pieces, and what you want to do is check to make sure that everything is a compound path and that there's no straggling pieces or dots or lines or anything like that in here that you need to delete. Then we're ready to go. So we're just going to do File, Save, and I'm just going to change that to Oscar. There we go. Save, and then I'm going to File, Export As. And I'm going to save, because I do it for my group, I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And then I'm going to File, Export as a PNG for people that want to just print it and cut it. And I also want to make sure that when you do a PNG, you save it as a high 300 dots per inch. I'm going to say OK. And then File, Export, Export as. Oh, and also the other thing I do is I'm going to save this as SVG. I save it using the artboard. I don't unclick this. You want to make sure that that's clicked and hit OK. And just hit OK. And there you go. That's how I do my drawings. I hope you liked this video, and we'll be back with more.